Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Carmen. Welcome back to episode 1, season 2 of the Novio show. If you were with us all last year, we are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This week we have a very special guest, but don't forget, Novio is for everyone, whether you are in love, sex, or relationships. There's a little thing for everybody to like really tie themselves into. But this week we have a very special guest, like I mentioned. I always was wondering what OnlyFans is and how content creators are taking measures into their own hands, especially during this pandemic. How do OnlyFans creators create and monetize? And we actually have Jupiter here with us. From Jupiter Says Hello. So thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, and happy Wednesday. I know there's a lot of commotion going on in the world, but I hope you're also having a good day.
Yeah, today was a rough one, that's for sure, but we're still going to power through and we're going to get our money, girl.
Yes. So with that said, I kind of want to ask, like, how did Jupiter Say Hello come about? How did you pick the name, and how does that tie into your persona as an OnlyFans creator?
So Jupiter Says Hello Gorgeous is actually, if you take the first letters of those words, it's an acronym. It's actually my government name, which I'm not going to reveal, but I tried to think of a name that not only fit those letters, but something that fit me. Not only do I identify with the planet Jupiter a lot, which is sort of funny to say, but also like the Sailor Guardian Jupiter is one of my favorites. This is really sad, but my ex-best friend Mars, we were Mars and Jupiter, but I still felt like Jupiter Says Hello was still something that I really like identified with. I'm a pretty friendly person too, so I'm always saying hi to people and always been really loquacious. So
I love that. Honestly, like the same with me. My Instagram name came about Carmen is my name and PR is what I studied in college. And I was like, oh, Carmen, PR girl. I don't know. I was like, it makes sense. I'm a stick with it.
it's your brand, girl. When we talked about this a little bit, branding yourself is really important. So that was another thing when I was doing Jupiter Says Hello was how do I brand myself? How do I do this? Like, so we find what fits us and we stick with it.
So some people think that, OnlyFans or being an OnlyFans creator is super easy, but how does that tie in with, like you said, branding yourself and putting yourself out there? Because it's more than just taking a picture, right? There's kind of like steps to marketing and promoting your content. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, for people that think it's easy, it's really not. It's sort of like almost like a full-time job. I find myself spending at least 20 to 30 hours a week on it, whether I'm loading in posts, shooting, networking, sort of sending messages, making my page more like adding more stuff to it, like just interacting with people. It takes up time. And as far as marketing is concerned, that's like half of the job, if not more, because how are you going to get followers if you're not telling people what you're doing? So it's hitting all the social networks and making sure you're keeping your content fresh, but not showing too much because you don't want to detract from the fact that, you want people to pay for the content. So you sort of want to drag them in a little bit. Like, this is a little crumb of like what I'm posting on here. Don't you want to come see it? And keeping people informed every day. This is what I'm doing. Look at this cute picture. Oh, look at this that I'm doing. Isn't this fun? I'm shooting this. Like, just remembering that you are a brand when you're doing that and really sort of spending the time to get the result. Because if you don't spend the time, you just sit there and take one picture a day, like, you're not going to do anything with it. You have to put in the effort.
And I think that's so important. Like, people, specifically men, I feel like they think like, oh, like, they're an OnlyFans model or whatever. Like, it must be so easy for them to put their stuff out there. But then they're the ones, buying everything. So it's like you need to respect the work that goes into this, into like sex work and everything like this. So I kind of want to ask you, like, how does your day, how does a day look like for an OnlyFans model or creator? Like, can you kind of walk us through like your typical Thursday tomorrow?
Okay. I mean, every day is sort of different. Tomorrow I have a very important post going out. It's my first girl photo series going out, which means like most of the content that I shoot is actually just myself. Sometimes I'll feature another female, but this is the first time that I'm going to be featuring a male in my posts, which I always get asked about. I get bombarded. I want to see pictures of this. And it's just not something that I really ever wanted to do. But the moment sort of hit right. So that's what's going out tomorrow. And I just make sure that I already have the post scheduled, which I set up, and the message that's going to go out with the contents already. So in the morning, I just sort of check in on that, make sure everything went okay. Then I kind of just go about my day. But if there's a day that I have where I need to create content, like if I'm running low on stuff that's already loaded in there, or if I've scheduled a shoot with someone, that day goes a little different. Generally, I'm up very early, like 6 or 7 in the morning, sometimes earlier. And
are you a morning person?
I'm not really an anytime person.
Right?
Right?
I need coffee first.
Yeah, girl, I just had some coffee right before this. I was like, I need to wake up. But, you know, I'm doing my hair, I'm doing my makeup, I'm checking in with the photographer, I'm getting my bags together, traveling to wherever I'm shooting. Sometimes it's in the middle of nowhere, so I have to hike out there with the photographer, or sometimes it's far, like I just went to San Diego, so I had to like drive out there at 6 a.m. so that I can make it by 11 for the shoot. Sometimes it's just a day thing. Sometimes, like the one in San Diego recently, it'll be a few days, so I had to stay out there. But the great thing about doing this, huh?
I'm like, that's so interesting that you said San Diego. So you've kind of done that kind of just through networking, or who was your San Diego connection?
Yeah, so that's another thing is once you start doing stuff like this, you'll start meeting other people that do similar things to what you're doing. So making your network and getting your web going is pretty important in order for you to continue making opportunities for yourself. So this person that I met was a friend of a friend, and she's also a model and had reached out to me and said, I have this opportunity at the studio with a photographer that's really talented if you'd like to work with me on it. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally down. So, you know, we hammered out all the details and met up. We actually shot for 2 days. I got maybe 5 or 6 different looks going. One of my favorites though is like a hot rod, but it's like modified, and the bed of the actual car was a coffin, which I thought was crazy. I know, I'm very excited to share those pictures with everyone. So hopefully I get them soon.
I do want to ask for people that maybe are concerned, or you know, they're a little scared to start an OnlyFans, like what are some tips for early OnlyFans creators that you would like to give them that maybe they would have helped you, you know, before you started your page?
So I actually had a really good friend of mine help me sort of hammer out my own details, basically. And I think the most important thing when you want to begin doing something like this is you need to create like a plan for yourself. What are my boundaries? What do I want to do? And what kind of content do I want to put out there? What am I comfortable with? And then just write all these things down and sort of come up with like your own personal plan of like, this is what I'd like to do. And then from there, I mean, you just got to start doing it by yourself and putting out your content. And then hopefully you start getting some opportunities, you start meeting some people. That's what I said about a web. It's very important to start getting mutual people together that do the same thing. Because hopefully with a whole village of you, you all can get some good content, inspiration, and sort of people that understand what you're doing and will lift you up and make you feel like you're doing the right thing for what you're actually putting out.
No, that's so true because well, we had mentioned this off camera, but like someone that I know that I'm close to started an OnlyFans, and they only shared that information with me because like, they felt comfortable. But I know like not everyone has that luxury with like friends or family. So how do you keep it kind of separate, you know, like your OnlyFans life and your friends and family life? How do you balance that? Because that might be, you know, a concern for some people when they're thinking about starting an OnlyFans page.
That is a totally valid concern, and it affects a lot of people. Unfortunately, like we were talking about earlier, the stigma with sex workers is it's a lot. It's a big thing. And like, if my mom knew, she might know, I have no idea, but she would probably be so mad at me.
Mine too.
Right? But it's, you know what, at the end of the day, like, if she would be mad at me, this is the type of relationship I have with her, though. And I would just tell her, like, look, this is what I'm doing and I'm good at it. So you can either support me or there's the door. But for other people, it might not be that easy. And I understand that. So, you know, that might not be the path for you. Some things that I've seen other people do, where not only it might be family that would have a problem, but friends and stuff might, you know, not understand. I've suggested that people do like no face work when that comes into play. So if you want to advertise it, maybe send messages to people you already know that are asking you for these things. Find a different social network. Like if you're very active on Instagram, but you don't have a Twitter. So I would say start a Twitter with your brand, whatever you want your brand to be. And then just don't put your face in any of the photos and advertise from there and network from there. That's really, I mean,
to write down these tips. Like, this is quality information.
I know. And I wanted to mention this because a lot of people have said, well, I'll just make a new Instagram account. And I always warn people about this feature, because if you tie your phone number to your Instagram, especially your new account, anybody that has contacts turned on their Instagram will see that you've created a new account. It'll say your contact Jupiter has created a new Instagram account. Don't you want to follow? And then it'll be like your secret OnlyFans thing that you didn't want anybody to know about. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. But I have seen people do that and make it private. So that's another thing. And then you can just share the Instagram, the new private account, to people and your followers that you know you can trust, or people that you want to know about these things. And like I said, again, hit all those social networks, get on every single one of them, every single one.
Since we're talking about social media, I mean, I feel like I'm on everything. So like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit. I don't like post anything, but I'm on it.
Reddit is a really good place. Reddit is a very good place for that. There's a ton of different threads where you can post your information. There's always a ton of thirsty people on Reddit, and we all know it. Very easy to sell a few subs and keep people interested.
Right. Which accounts or which social media accounts do you see personally you get the most traction from, or you get people like mostly interested in clicking on?
That's a little tough because I don't see analytics on any of that information. Like I don't see like who clicked from where, but I try to sort of like stagger my posts so that I can kind of see like where traffic is coming from. I would say, honestly, I was pretty lucky because I've always been that type of person on social media that has not really given a fuck. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I believe in myself. And maybe I have that luxury to where I can do that and where I don't care if people unfollow me because they're uncomfortable that I posted a nude or I'm talking about OnlyFans, like, bye. But you know, but I'd say probably my Instagram gets the most traction. I feel like that's where I know the most people, but still I post on Twitter and I don't really have a big following. I just started it in September and I've gotten a lot of subs from Twitter. But once again, that web is really important, like meeting people, connecting with people who already have existing followings, just like really put yourself out there if this is what you want to do. And they'll share your material and their followers will see and be like, oh, you know, I want to follow that person too. And it's just like a domino effect of like people following you. If you can hit the money, you can hit the money.
Yeah, like all I see is signs. All I see is signs. No, I love that. I love that you sound so passionate about it too. Like this is something I could tell that this is not just a passion project. You know, you're really like dedicated. And I feel too like we had mentioned too. You had mentioned scheduling. So do you feel like you're very consistent with posting like at a certain time, or does it matter what time you post or what type of things you post? Like, have you found that, you know, more of your fans like this type of things or videos, or how do you gauge that? Because you mentioned you also get to chat with them, right?
Yeah, so your first question was scheduling, and yes, there is an option on OnlyFans to queue posts. So if you go into create a post, you can schedule it for later using the calendar option at the bottom. And you can schedule it for any day you want. Or what I do is I just set it to post every 24 hours. So that was part of my original plan when I made my OnlyFans. Like I said, come up with your plan, what you want to do, what you want to offer, so that you come to the table to other people when you're asking them for your money. This is what I'm going to give you, so that they're not confused when you're not following through on that, or you don't give them anything so they don't know what they're supposed to be receiving. So my thing was I post every day. I might not post 1,000 photos. It might just be one picture, and I might spread out a shoot throughout a week. But the content that I'm posting, I try to make some of it really crazy, and then some of it not so crazy, so that there's like a nice mix of things. And then also I try to make my posts and what I do on there reflect who I am as a person. So the things that I like to do, you'll see me doing on OnlyFans. You will never see me doing something that I don't want to do, because it's my page and I call the shots. So like I said about the whole boy girl thing, people were like, I want to see this. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. That's the beauty of being your own boss and being your own creator, is that if you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. But the opportunity presented itself in a way that I was like, I want to do this. So I did it.
Good. I love that too, because I feel like people don't see sex work as work, or that, you know, you're actually being consistent, making money. And then that really ties in with how social media views sex workers. So you had mentioned too about the Instagram terms of service, and maybe not a lot of people know what's going on with Instagram and how that affects OnlyFans creators, and then just even regular people that are posting about sex or sex related things. So do you want to explain a little bit about that?
So yeah, Instagram and Facebook, once they merged, sort of decided that they were going to change their terms of service, meaning you agree when you sign up to use an app that you're going to follow by their rules, and their rules include like the content that they don't want to see, basically. And it used to be a little more lax. Like you could post implied nudity, which means like you are nude, but you can't see anything. You might be holding yourself this way, or you know, you're turned in a specific way or covered with blankets or something where you look all sexy. Well, that's no longer flying, and they're not even allowing stuff like censoring. This new rule went into effect, I believe, somewhere mid-December, but there's been like a mass like crackdown on like people posting, and a lot of people are under the impression that there are people behind this movement, that there are people policing Instagram. But I'm here to literally tell you that this has been confirmed from Instagram themselves. It's not people, it's bots, and they're scanning images for words, and they have like body recognition where they can see a boob, or they can see like, you know, a butt or something, and it'll immediately get taken down. So that's what's going on with that. And unfortunately, they're also doing things like censoring words and emojis. So the eggplant emoji, or the peach emoji, or the words OnlyFans or link in bio are now code words that they do not allow. So if you post those things, you're either going to get shadow banned or your post is going to get taken down. So it's very important. Like I've started saying only flans with like a little emoji of the flan.
That's very smart. I like it.
You have to get creative. And I think that's one thing about sex work that will always be a thing, is that we have to think on our feet, which is not the funnest part about it, but you know, you have to get creative if you're going to keep making money. And if I lost my Instagram, I'd lose so much. And I barely even have like 2,600 followers. So I can't imagine these girls that have like 200,000, 300,000 that, you know, have built a following. And then all of a sudden Instagram's like, nope, sorry, bye, delete. And, you know, what are they going to do now? And it's all because they decided to change their rules on everybody. And honestly, like they're not even allowing, which they used to, erotic art, like drawings and stuff like that. There's a ton of artists out there that are like remarkably talented that are no longer allowed to post their artwork and are being ostracized off these social networks just because they're posting their beautiful artwork.
Right. No,
So it's like,
it's crazy too because I mean the whole sex work community definitely is being targeted. But also like sex educators, people that are also offering, you know, education when it comes to sex, which is something that people need and people should have access to. Like even some of my favorite like sex educators, like some of their content, you know, is getting blocked or deleted, or they have to switch to different like apps to get their points across. So it's kind of scary. But I also wanted to ask you because somebody wants to know. So you had mentioned, you know, you have about 26,000 followers, like 2,600 followers. So for someone who wants to start an OnlyFans, like, does the number of followers count, or can you be successful on OnlyFans with like, I don't know, 1,000 followers or something?
oh yeah, totally. Because I don't really think like the amount of followers. Well, let me back up a little bit. You can definitely be successful. Absolutely. You're going to be more successful the more followers you have. So that's always the name of the game, is to gather more people, to bring more people in. That's the name of the game with any business though, you know, but you can still be successful even if you have one follower, honestly, because one
loyal
follower, you can, nobody has one follower, but let's be honest, you know what I mean? Like you can still be totally successful if you don't have a lot of followers. I've seen girls that, like I said, they have a following. It's not really strong, maybe like 800 to 1,000 followers, and they're like, I want to start an OnlyFans. So then they start another page, another Instagram to start like advertising it, and they gain followers quickly. So honestly, I feel like as long as you're networking and you're going through and you're spending the time trying to find people to follow you, I think you could still be successful.
And if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been an OnlyFans creator?
Since March of last year.
Oh, wow. So during the pandemic, like when the pandemic started, what made you be like, you know what, today is the day I'm going to start my account?
Today. So we talked about this briefly before. So I've been doing like alternative and nude modeling for a few years now, but I mainly did it just to have the pictures, which I don't really know what I was really doing with that. Like just to see maybe if I liked doing it is maybe why I did it. I can't really give you an answer to that, but I did a few photo shoots. And then I did one in like late February with a friend of mine, and he said, you really need to be starting an OnlyFans. Like, I know you have a Patreon that you don't do anything with, but you need to do an OnlyFans. And I was like, I don't know. I'm nervous. Like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if I have the time for it, if I want to do it. He's like, these pictures are amazing and you need to make money off of them. I will help you. Yeah. So he helped me. I remember I mentioned that I had my tonsils out in early March. So it was maybe mid to late March. But honestly, I was bedridden and I had like nothing better to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm literally just going to do it. So I did it. And I was like, if I get 5 followers on here, I get 5 followers on here. And I post a few of my pictures and that'll be the end of the day. And then it actually took off. And I was like, I actually really like doing this. So I'm going to keep doing it. And I just kept not only investing in wardrobe and lighting and experiences, I just kept building on that. And I think that's how you build any business. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Well, I do know that, you know, as a creator, you always mention like getting creative and trying to, you know, like elevate your brand and everything. What are some tips that you give to future OnlyFans creators for like taking your own pictures? Because maybe, you know, off the bat, they can't afford to hire a photographer or, you know, do all that fancy stuff yet. So like, what are some tips that you want to give to people?
So there's a few things. The way I started doing it, I mean, I shot with a few friends of mine. That's also a thing that you can do. There's always people that are looking to build their experience. So you can sort of trade your work for theirs. That's an option find, somebody that that's just starting out their photography portfolio and ask them if they'd be interested in collaborating with you on that. That's one option. If you're not comfortable doing something like that, you have your phone. And a lot of phones come with a front camera option. So this is how I take a lot of my pictures. So I use the front camera and the timer setting to 10 seconds. And I just sort of play with myself, not play, well, I do sometimes, but like play with yourself in the camera. Like I've been doing this for a very long time. So I call it Pretty Bird, where you like, when like a bird's like in the mirror and they're like, pretty bird. And they like do this and stuff. So I just like play with myself in the camera. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, let's do another one. And I set the timer for 10 seconds and then I let it go and I take another picture. Prop it up with something. I use my water bottle a lot, and it's like an instant photo studio. Also remembering like you need a source of light too. So I used to use this like lamp thing that I had. This actually, let's see. Sorry for the like horrible side view, but this lamp right here. Before I got this fancy ring light that I'm using right now, which thank you OnlyFans subscribers, you actually paid for this beauty.
Yeah.
I used to use that thing. Yeah, and just like honestly playing with like color editing, get a few apps that make some fun little color edits, and take your phone to other places in your house, get creative, find light sources, like open the window, the light hitting you always ends up being really pretty on camera. And then also when I say like get your web together of like people and network and stuff like that, see what they're doing, see what kind of pictures they're taking. I mean, I'm not saying copy people, but I am saying get your inspiration and like look through Instagram, see what other photographers are doing. Just get inspiration from that too. So those are some little tips.
No, I love that. Like, honestly, like, I feel like, especially now, that we have a lot of time indoors for the most part, this is the perfect time to just take pictures, try something new if you want. We're not, this isn't telling you go make an OnlyFans, you have to do it. It's if you want to, and obviously it'll be your choice if you want to do that. But I also want to touch on the referral links as well, because you had mentioned that. So how does that work, and how can people access someone's referral link?
Okay, so if anybody would like to start an OnlyFans, they can reach out to me and I will give you my referral code. Or if you don't know me, you don't want to give me money, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Find a friend that has an OnlyFans and ask them for their referral code. But when you sign up, nothing happens for you, but for that person, they make a portion of your proceeds, or of your money that you make on OnlyFans. So I have a few people that have used my link, and I think it's like 20% of what they make. So it's actually pretty good. If they're doing well, like you're making a good chunk of money. So that's another way that you can make a little bit of money on OnlyFans, is if you are successful and you can help people, which I feel like I've gotten to that point a little bit where I've helped a lot of friends make theirs. That's a good, like, I'd say an intermediate tip for OnlyFans creators if you want to do that.
No, trust me. After this conversation, you should definitely send me that, and then I'll post it like in the notes, as well as your OnlyFans link, so people can go check you out as well.
Yeah, and I can also give you my referral code. That way, if anybody's thinking that they want to start one, and also with that referral code, if you're going to use that, you definitely reach out to me. I can give you my email address, or you can reach out directly to me on Instagram, and I can totally walk you through the process of how to set up your OnlyFans, because it gets a little dicey. You have to go through an approval process, which both times I've set up my OnlyFans, I've been declined, which is so funny. But there's like a rebuttal option where you can tell them that you've made a mistake. Excuse me.
Let me get to my bag, OnlyFans.
Exactly, right? So funny. But there's a process that you have to go through for that. And then obviously setting up your W-9 for taxation, which is also something we should talk about.
Yes, I know. Well, tax season is coming up, and some people are just wondering, like, how do you get money back, or how do you report all of the money that you made on OnlyFans? Because you mentioned a little bit in the episode that you're your own boss, quote unquote, like you are. So how does all that work? Because you don't want to go to jail or You know what I mean?
No, that would be counterproductive for what we're doing here to go to jail, to pay all those fees. Absolutely not. So when you start your OnlyFans, you fill out a W-9, which is you're reporting like, you know, how many dependents you have. If it's just you, it's one. Every dependent that you have on top of that is another one. So if you have 2 kids, you're claiming 3. Anyway, so you fill that form out and they are going to send you, when the time comes, a 1099. So I feel like I should be getting a 1099 from them shortly, because I think generally they come around January. That's when I get my 1099 from my other job that I work, my other job. But at that point, you're going to either take it to the person that does your taxes, or if you're going to do it yourself, you would enter it in on, I don't do it myself, so I don't know, but you would put it in on whatever website that would be. But I have a tax man, so it's pretty great.
Me too. He's from South Central.
The other thing, just so you know, OnlyFans is not a taxed, like they don't pre-tax your income. Like if you work, say, for another company, you are getting a W-2, which means your wages have already been pre-taxed. So generally at the end of the year, you get money back, because for some reason, that's just how it works. But unfortunately, for anybody with a 1099, all you independent contractors already know this, you always owe. Because you just get the money straight up. You make $20 an hour, you get $20. You don't get the 15, 20 or whatever that you would see in a regular paycheck. So then at the end of the year, you would then owe that money instead, because nothing comes for free in this country, as we've all found out. And you pay about 40% of what you make, which is really scary that we pay 40% of what we make to our government for what they're doing.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. But being somebody that's independently contracted and someone that does OnlyFans, there are certain things that you can write off. There are certain things that you should not be writing off, and I know other people do. I can write off my ring light, for example, because I'm really not going to be using my ring light for anything but OnlyFans. But I know that there are girls out there that write off clothing. You're not supposed to do that, because you can wear clothing on other days. And if you do get audited, you will get fined for that. And no one wants to get audited. So it's best just to float under the float. Don't cause a scene at all. And hopefully you don't get caught up. But yeah, as far as like taxation, stuff like that, that's how that works.
No, this is all like, I feel like knowledge that we all need to know, whether you want to do an OnlyFans or you don't. You know, if you do want to do an OnlyFans, this is awesome educational information. If you're not even interested in making an OnlyFans, but you're just interested in the OnlyFans like world, this is a good episode for you to watch. We're coming down to, you know, the end of the episode, but I'm really excited. Yes, no, I love the conversation. I'm glad that we got to connect. So how can people follow you either on Instagram, or how can people connect with you, you know, if they have further questions, and maybe they want to also subscribe, you know, get you some money.
Yes, girl. So my Instagram handle is Jupiter Says Hello. My Twitter handle is Jupiter Say Hi. And I'm on OnlyFans. I have 2 separate profiles on OnlyFans. One is paid subscription and one is free. Both of them are Jupiter Says Hello, but one has a thing that says free on it. Basically, my whole thing with the free account, this was another way I was trying to get around the Instagram terms of service. Basically, it was a way for me to post censored things that I would generally want to post on Instagram. Look at this hot picture, it's censored, but don't you want to see what happens when the censor is not there? Right. So I created the free OnlyFans, and that way people don't have to pay a monthly fee, but I do make the prices on those posts a little bit more because they're not paying that monthly fee. But you can also just subscribe and look for free at the censored pictures too. If that's your thing, then that's your thing. But then the sub page is where all the fun's at.
Yeah, so if you either just tuned in or you've tuned in from the beginning, I'm going to be posting all her information in the comments below, as well as the subscription, and sorry, the code.
Referral code.
The referral code. Yeah, so all of the good stuff, you know, so you can get connected. But thank you so much, Jupiter, for being on the show. I definitely learned a lot. And I hope that people that tuned in, you wrote down all those tips because we're trying to get some money this year, okay?
Yes. Secure this bag for me, please.
Please. But yeah, don't forget we're live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh yeah, I do live with a dog, so sometimes in these lives you will hear Rocky in the background. But yeah, don't forget to tune in next Wednesday. We are going to be with Julia. She is working with the Match Affinity Group, which is in charge of this really cool app. It's called Chispa app. So if you're looking to date Latinos or you're just really into dating apps, definitely tune in. We're going to be doing that next week, actually at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because she's based out of Texas. So more information when that time comes. But thank you so much, Jupiter, and it was a pleasure speaking to you. And I hope you make a lot of money this year, okay?
Thanks, girl. You too.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Bye.